Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and ultimately welcome back to LBJ's Corner. And today I have my very good friend, my brother, and a senior colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome. Can I call you a doctor?
Lawrence. Lawrence.
Please, can I call you a doctor?
Not really. It's okay. Lawrence is okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Dogo Lawrence Aleku. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on your platform. This is a long time coming, and I'm happy to finally be here.
We're supposed to do this podcast since September, but you insisted till when you become a doctor, and finally you are now a doctor, and we are so privileged to have you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for patiently waiting that I achieved what I wanted to achieve before being here. And yes, I actually was looking forward to be on your podcast, to be honest. And I think there wouldn't be a better time than now. So yeah, thank you for having me. I literally had to beg you to host me.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah.
It is so good to have you here, and please formally accept my congratulations on the defense of your PhD dissertation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hopefully,
All right.
we'll do yours very soon. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
No. This is not about me right now. It's about you.
Okay.
And when my time comes, please enjoy your moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Yes. So that is what we're here to discuss. We want to hear your journey. Hopefully to get inspiring things from you that would help someone who, is aspiring to pick up the challenge, or someone who is already doing PhD, or someone like me that I want to be like you. But yes, we want to see to hear from your own story, how the journey has been. So it's been a journey of 4 years.
Yeah,
Um,
been a journey
uh,
of 4 long years.
for long, and within those years, you had achieved much more than a PhD. If you know what I mean. Uh,
I have no idea what you mean. We're here to talk about my PhD.
I
Yeah, so
mean,
yeah, it's four long
okay,
years. It's 4 long years in PhD. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, so just a little background. We used to know, or we knew back then, maybe not as close as PhD made us so close, but before then, I knew you as uh one guy. Let me not say what was in my mind, but but from afar I've always heard your story, how that this guy is a very brilliant guy, you know
Wow.
if he sets to achieve something. And I think at the time you were doing or you had just finished your masters, and I was like, wow, this guy really means business. And coupled with your family history, you know what I'm talking about, your elder brother, the news went everywhere. So we're like, oh, okay, this guy too is coming with his own hotness. And little did we know. So when you told me, man, I am planning, or I've applied for a PhD or something like that, I was like, oh, okay. I said, oh, interesting. He's trying to do a PhD. This guy must really be brilliant. So fast forward to the year 2020, right?
Yeah.
2020, 2020, 2019 to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Nigeria and we met, and you
Yeah,
took me for lunch. I'll never forget that lunch.
I remember. We had a nice picture together. I think I'm looking terrible in that picture. Looking at the picture now.
I can show them. But I'll block my face.
Yeah, we had a picture. I remember when you were around.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then you gifted me a very nice shirt. You remember? It's It doesn't have color. I think it was not an ash color, maybe a milk color long sleeve shirt. It was a nice shirt. I rocked that shirt until the shirt was tired. So yeah, I
Honestly,
still
I
remember.
can't remember.
Yeah, you
Honestly,
you
I
told me
can't.
that was
But
nice.
I
It was
think
my favorite at the time. So yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that it was that day that we spoke heart to heart, and you told me your plans and all of that, and I was like, please fire on with your plan, and
Yeah.
then boom, you got the scholarship. Maybe we'll talk about the scholarship later, but
Hmm?
the story is for me. I personally feel that you are a very resilient person,
Oh,
and so when you got the scholarship, the
hmm.
visa issue, everything, and then finally you traveled, then the journey began for you. So
Yeah.
my first question for you is, what inspired you to pursue a PhD, or why did you choose your specific field of study?
So first, yeah, I'll answer them in splits. First, what inspired me to pursue a PhD is I think I drew the inspiration from my father. So then my father from his village was the second person to ever go to school. And then he sponsored his, at the time, it was like out of bound for people in my village to go to school. And so my father had to, when he grew up at the time, he had to take that decision to go to school. So it was against his father's wish. And then he didn't get a support from his mother or the pushback from his mother. She was just indifferent. Yeah, you can go, but then just remember that I don't want to punish you, but you have my blessings, but I can't support you publicly and all that. So he wanted to study to become a barrister. And so he was all grown there before he started primary school, and then in secondary school he was married, and then responsibilities came. He couldn't push forward. And then his resolve was that he was going to push his kids to the highest level he can. And then he sold this whole idea to us that education is the key. And then we also grew up with the mentality that whatever we chose to do, not just me, my brothers, and everyone, we would do it to like the very high that we can. And I mean, it was in my father's heart to do everything to the end. But yeah, he was limited by responsibilities, of course, from us. So it was this whole education thing was from my father, and then when I picked up and when I got all his support, I just wanted to do it to the end and just make sure I succeed in it because it was like because I was coming from a very poor background, and then education was like the key to making it out. So I just had to do it to the very end, to the highest height, so that I can escape in cold poverty, right? So the first motivation was from him. He sold the idea that education was the key to success, and then I can't just start something and stop halfway. I just want to get to the end, the pinnacle, and make sure I succeed in it. So that's the motivation I got to like take school seriously and then to take it to the highest pinnacle. For the course of study, initially I wanted to do medicine like most science kids back home. I wrote my first job and I applied medicine in ABU Zaria, Madubele University Zaria at the time. I got a reasonable amount of points. Then I think it was, yeah, very good for admission for medicine. But then there was high competition. I went for post UTME. Unfortunately, I couldn't get. And then my elder brother, Professor, okay, Dr. Godwin. So he doesn't like this idea of professor. Okay, so Dr. Godwin, he saw the idea of geology and mining for me, and he was like, "Yeah, I could just maybe just check it, oil and gas and all that." So at the time, I didn't know much about it, so I googled it and I saw that it was something that I would also be interested in, of course. So yeah, I left this whole entirety of medicine from my head and switched immediately. That was when I just finished my secondary school, right? So I applied for medicine. At the same time, I was trying to look for geology when he sold the idea to me. So then I was still fresh. So I could always switch immediately that same year. So I switched immediately. So I didn't get medicine, but I got remedial studies in Kefi. That's where I State University Kefi. And then I picked geology, which was going to be petroleum related. So I liked the idea of oil and gas, of course. Maybe because I think there's money in it. And then I'm trying to escape poverty, remember? And then so I had to pick something like that. So yeah, my brother sold the idea, and I would say he was the motivating factor. He didn't try to persuade me. He just said if I could think towards the thing. And then yeah, I decided to. And then I picked geology and mining, and I started my journey.
Okay. The other day I was telling you how that growing up I suffered and all of that, and then
No,
when you when you shared your story with me,
you
I
were,
I I, I had to say,
a big,
God, I repent.
you
I
were a
did
big
not
boy.
suffer.
You were a big boy growing up, man. You were a big
So
boy growing up, yeah. You didn't suffer.
yeah. So you mentioned how that where you're coming from really played a role, in you taking up a PhD and all of that. I know that it is not easy. I know that. I mean, we know now. We know how this journey is.
Yeah.
But then initially, what was your expectation? For a PhD, did you think it was going to be? Was it something in your mind? You're like, nah, this is easy, or were you pre-informed that listen, a lot of things are going to come?
Yeah, so from where I was coming from, it has always been a life of struggle, right?
Mm,
And then I never grew up finding anything easy. So I believe that everything I would do
mm,
will always be difficult. So to be like, I'll be the one to, I wish I can put it in Koro, but yeah, I cannot put it in Koro. So
yeah.
it felt like I'll be the one to start grading the road myself, and then hopefully my kids can walk through it. But so I had this whole picture that nothing that I'll ever start or I'll ever do that I'll find it easy. So I will take you back a little bit before I come back to this question. So when I started my bachelor's, I think when I was in 300 level, I had a 10-year plan ahead. So at that time, I knew I wanted to do PhD, but then I would do masters, of course, first before the PhD. So I had a 10-year plan. I knew when I will graduate. I factored in this whole ASU strike thing. So I knew when I will graduate. I remember there was a lecturer I met in my school, and I asked him if I could skip NYSC because I felt that it was going to waste my time based on my plan. Like I just wanted to finish everything within a time frame and then start my life. So he told me, no, it's a requirement. You have to present your discharge certificate before you get admitted for masters. I said, okay, it's fine. So I went for service, and the whole time felt like a waste of time for me. But I think partly I enjoyed it, but like time was not ticking fast. Okay. So fast forward, I finished, started the masters. It was a struggle in the masters. That's another story. And then for the PhD. So I knew all through the process because I was coming from a place where I have to open doors for myself with God's help. I never foresee anything to be easy.
Mm,
So I also thought that the masters, the PhD, away from Nigeria even, because the background I had back in school was. So I was diving into a field that has to do with a lot of laboratory work. And then back for my master's, of course, and my bachelor's program in Nigeria, it was more of a field work. And then for the PhD, I was going to combine field and laboratory work, but it's going to be more of field laboratory work. I will do like just 2 months of field work and then 10 months of laboratory work. So my life was going to be more in the lab than in the field. So I already knew that it was going to be tough. That's just the academics and learning of new skills. For the research part, I really didn't know what to expect, but I have never imagined that anything would be easy. But when I started, I think I couldn't imagine how difficult it would be. I knew it would be difficult, but it was, I think, 10 times more difficult than I could ever imagine. But then I was in it, and then it was like there was no going back because I have to finish, I have to succeed. It's like the key to my success. So yeah, so I never saw it easy. When I came, it was like 10 times harder. Then there
Yeah.
was no going back. So yeah, you have to finish. I can't start something without finishing. That's the thing. I just have to finish.
Yeah. I I mean, you we I, I think what PhD did to me and you is that it brought us close because
Yeah.
we could understand,
Yeah,
the
we could relate.
frustration.
We could relate. We could relate. So I just need to speak one sentence and you already can't relate because yeah, it resonates with you, right? So we could relate.
I remember last year, 2023, you called me one of the days and you spoke for more than 20 minutes.
Oh
And
really?
when you finished talking, you're like, don't mind me, Jerry. I said, my brother, I understand. I understand. I understand perfectly. And I'm sure that I've done that to you a lot of times too. So
Yeah. I
the
mean,
truth
a
is,
couple of
yeah,
times I wouldn't. I will be honest. A couple of times, I mean, several times, I regretted starting the PhD, man.
me too.
But then I think after achieving it, you feel that sense of fulfillment, right? So, it was worth it. But I'll be very honest with you right now. If we should turn back the hand of time, and then they should play the tape of my 4 year struggle to me and ask me if I want to start it, I would say no. To be honest, I would say no. I think I went through a lot of mental,
Yeah,
emotional.
we will go there. We will get there. We will get there. We will get there. I know what you're talking about because I mean, I have shared with you how that is like. I think there is more to life than a PhD.
Yeah, there
That
is.
I've told you severally how that it looks like I want to just quit. I just want to just because I actually there are I've not shared my story yet. Of course, I will, but
Definitely.
there were times I felt like, listen, with a master's degree, I am good, right?
Yeah.
I honestly do not need a PhD. But anyway, the next question is okay. On a lighter note, let's just come back. Let's just come back to your story.
Mm.
How does a typical day in your PhD life look like? How was like a typical PhD life for you in a day? Can you walk us through? You wake up, you go to this, and yeah.
Yeah, so a typical day in my PhD life is that, of course, yeah, I wake up. So PhD in Germany is like a job, okay? So you go, you have, of course, you have your office in school, then you have the lab. So you go to school, you go to your office 8 a.m. and close by 5 p.m. So it's like a job. So they treat you as a staff of the university. They don't treat you as a student. And then so once you are at the office, it's research all through. So from the office, you switch to lab, spend sometimes the entire day in the lab, or sometimes 5 hours, 4 hours, and you switch back to the office. So but you go 8 a.m. and you close 5 p.m. So it's like a normal job life for me. So Mondays to Fridays. Yeah, but it's always research on the screen, research on the screen, thinking about one acid or the other, thinking about one instrument or the other. So I worked with 8 different instruments for my PhD. So you are thinking about one instrument and different locations in Germany. So this way you're thinking of going to this city for this lab. This week you're thinking of going to another city for this analysis, and then each of these labs, you are expected to operate this instrument yourself, right? And then, so you start thinking of switching your brain to how this other instrument works and how to calibrate it and how to do calculation for the standards, measurements, and all that. So a typical day is waking up in the morning, dressing, going to school, doing what you have to do, and returning back home after 5. Most often 6 p.m. I'm home. Yeah, and then the next morning. So for the entire 4 years. This has been my routine. Of course, sometimes on Fridays you just want to rest and don't care about whatever will happen. And then you hope that your supervisor didn't look for you. Okay, that's another story.
That is the next question I was going to ask you. How did you deal with waking up in the morning and the first thing you're seeing is your supervisor's email or call or message? I
Yeah.
think, okay, just hold on. I think, in my opinion, there was a time that I can be talking and I'm laughing with someone or whatever. As soon as I just get that notification, I think it has happened with you severally. That
Yeah.
as soon
Yeah.
as I get that notification, it's like I've not even read through it, but it has utterly
Hey,
ruined my day
at the
already.
time, at the time, I don't want to see his name. Like I don't want to see his name on my email, except if I send him something to check, and then I'll be looking forward to his name.
Yeah,
But then on a good day, I don't want to see his name appear on my screen for whatever reason.
yeah,
I don't want. Of course,
yeah,
we don't chat on WhatsApp, so I wouldn't expect his WhatsApp message. It's only email. But I don't want to say his name because his name sometimes it's like a nightmare to me, right? You don't
yeah,
want to see, but because those it's one problem or the other. It's just like I don't know. But then I think there was a time we spoke the first year I arrived, and he asked me if I remember that his job is to help me. So that particular sentence stuck to my head all the time. Although sometimes I don't like to say his name, but sometimes I still remember that he doesn't need a PhD. I do. And then whether I am here or not, his job goes on. He does what he has to do. And then, so I know that whatever happens, it is to make me reach my dream that I always had when I was growing up. But still, when the name comes up, you forget all this and then get annoyed before you open the message. And then, so I was tired of going to school at the time. So I would prefer to work from home
yeah,
sometimes. And then those are the days that, I don't know, for whatever reason, those are the days that he will now be looking for you. He wants to talk to you, he wants to see you. And then he wants to see you like in his office, not like on the Zoom or whatever. So if you see his name and you open the email, it will be like, where are you? He won't ask you to come, but you know he wants you to come.
yeah.
Sometimes I will respond, I will just appear in his office. Sometimes if I don't want to go and I really don't care what happens, I will just say I am I am working from home today. Do you want me to come? I am happy to come. Literally, I am not happy to come.
I know.
If I don't see his response, he wants me to come. If I see his response, then he'll tell me, "Oh no, we can do it tomorrow." Then, but if I after like 5 minutes, if there's no response, you have to go. So yeah, his name is always like a nightmare, and
Yeah,
but in the by and large, it's always to solve my problem, not his own problem, right?
yeah, yeah.
So we have to remember that all the time. But then at the time, it never feels like that. It just feels like this one is out of my life.
Literally, literally. Yeah, I think that one of the days, I think I was talking with my mom on the phone or something, and then my supervisor messaged me. I remember, like, I zoned out for like, my mom was just talking,
Change
and
your
I'm like,
mood entirely.
she was like, "What is it? Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine." She said, "What is it?" I said, "No, no, no. Everything
You
is fine."
switch from 100 to 0.
To maybe minus 100. Yeah, yeah. But I think it is such an experience because, ooh, uh, literally, this is what it means by what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So my next question would be how did you balance your academic work with your personal life and other commitments?
Yeah, so as you already know, I'm married, and then it's a distance marriage, right? So, yeah, my wife's visa didn't work; it was rejected twice, and then so there has to be part of my life was in Nigeria, or part of my heart, part of my thoughts, part of my brain, half of my life, half of me was in Nigeria, and half of me was here, and then I have to balance my academic life, my PhD struggle. Wait, there's somebody's daughter in my house, my name, and then she also wants my attention. And then, so that also complicated my PhD journey because at the time, so your supervisor is dealing with you, and then your wife is emotionally down also. So at somehow it affects your psychology. So mentally you are drained from your PhD. Psychologically you are also drained from your wife, and then you are like the holding balance. So you have to balance it here, and then you have your own personal wala as well. And sometimes you just have to be alone and start thinking whatever. So it was. I think I would say I know I had a very difficult childhood, but I think the whole brain work was left to my father. So I would say the last 4 years was the most difficult life part of my life. Financially, yeah, I was on scholarship, so but I just know that there's I just know that I think money is not everything. To be honest, I realized that money is not everything. Yeah, you have the finances, so you don't really have to worry about what you have to eat, what you have to use to take care of your wife, and all that. But then there are things that money couldn't really solve for me. As little money as I had to solve my own, no matter if I had the kind of money I have when I was like from 2020 downwards, I would think that nothing should bother me in this world.
Mm,
But then I have the little financial support now from my speech PhD. And then I discovered that the little money I had in my account could not help me solve some of these problems.
mm,
So it was more of mental, psychological, emotional imbalances. And then it was really tough. I would say, yes, my wife was really very understanding. So time to time, she just allowed her emotions to get over her, and then she will naturally transfer it to me, right? So I have to be the one to soak it. And then my professor too, sometimes he doesn't take care of what he says or what he does, how it affects me, but yeah, he just does it anyway. And it was difficult, but I really don't know how I navigate through it. Maybe I was naturally resilient. I really wouldn't care. Whatever that happens, I know that time is ticking, and what I'm supposed to do, whatever I go through, just try to do it. I just try to find strength, find concentration, find balance somehow, somewhere to clear whatever is
mm,
on my table as far as my PhD is concerned, so that whatever that happens in my life shouldn't delay uh, the time required for me to finish my PhD. And then I really finished within the record time I was supposed to finish. And so I tried not to allow anything to weigh me down. But it was not easy, but I just try to clear my table. Whatever that happens, whatever that drains me, whatever that affects me mentally, I just try to. Sometimes I just close my laptop, sleep for an hour or two, set up an alarm, wake me up so that I can just, like, in quotes,
Reset.
restore my factory settings.
Yeah.
And then, because lastly, the whole PhD, my supervisor was just guiding me, right? Most of these things, I just have to think them out myself. Read a lot of literatures. I think I reviewed over 3,000. So I checked my EndNote, right? I reviewed over 3,000 literatures throughout. So I had to read a lot from literature to bring out these ideas. And then sometimes he would just come into his office. How did you come up with this? In my head, approve it. Let me finish this thing. Okay, which one? How did you come up with this? So I had to do a lot of the mental work myself. And then, so if I'm going through difficulty in balancing academics and personal life, I just switched my head off, try to sleep, set up an alarm, wake up in 1 or 2 hours, and just wake up fresh. My laptop is always on. Like, there are times that for a whole 7 days, it doesn't go off. Okay? Highest, it goes on sleep mode when I wake up to when I'm in school, and then it continues working. Sometimes if I take the entire week off, if my supervisor travels, I don't go anywhere. So for the entire 7 days, it's on. So I just sleep, wake up, and I'm not the movie type, so I could normally use movie to reset, but I'm not the movie type. And also, I think gospel songs also help some point. And also for me that I have a wife, I'll always talk to my wife and try to make her happy first. Once she's happy, she will transfer the happiness to me, and my brain will reset automatically. But once she's not happy, then automatically my brain will not function very well. So I try to prioritize her happiness as well, and then I know that once she's happy, then somehow she rubbed it off on me, and I'm good. So it was difficult balancing the two lives, but then somehow I know there was a task that I have to finish within the time frame, and then I didn't try to let the challenges of balancing both life, affect the timeline or what I have to do on my table. I just have to clear it all the time.
Quite. I can only imagine, and you're even saying, "Oh, I have a wife." So some of us that are not married, oh God, maybe we did not run mad. That's the first testimony.
No. I think it was on the flip. On the flip, I think your life is less complicated. No, to be honest, it's less complicated by not being married while doing your PhD. Okay. And then if you really want some positive energy from a woman, I don't know if you have a girlfriend, but yeah. Of course, for a single man like you, there are a lot of ladies that want to talk to you. They will never transfer aggressive energy to you. They'll always want to transfer positive energy to you. And then you have positive energy all around, and then you are good.
Please, let's stick to
I think
topic.
being single, to be honest now, being single while doing PhD, I think it's okay. So yeah, I have to correct this thing. Being single while doing PhD, it makes your life less complicated than being married, having a distant marriage while doing PhD.
Yeah.
For people that have their spouses with them while doing PhD, okay, this is serious now, because some people also complain that having your wife and having kids while doing PhD is also crazy. Maybe having just a wife with you without kids, maybe it helps. Otherwise, I feel like the best time to do a PhD is when you're single. I feel so. Maybe some people have different experiences, but
Yeah.
I feel so. Then you
Okay.
just have academics to worry about. And you don't have to worry about any other thing, right?